Teslas are becoming too expensive for the mass market, especially when Tesla are aiming to sell 20 million a year this decade. Or at least this is what I'm hearing a lot of people say as of recent. People saying, no way I can afford a Tesla at these price points. Or there are other EVs that are undercutting Tesla on price. Teslas are too expensive for the average person. Well, I just wanted to point out why this is and why it's a good thing that Teslas are becoming more expensive, not a bad thing. At least if you own shares in Tesla. This is just supply and demand, and as you probably realize by this stage, well, Tesla has a lot of demand. I'm often saying this to people in the comments. What does it matter how high the prices are if people are buying every single car Tesla make? Actually, not every single car Tesla make, about twice as many as they can make. Someone just told me they ordered a Model Y the other day and was told to expect delivery in August. And this is the demand now, before any EV rebate or the 4680 batteries, etc. Or as I call it, the Tesla 2.0, because it's going to be a much improved version of the 2170 equivalent. Lighter weight, more power, better performance, more rigid, better handling and safer. Tesla may even raise the price again to compensate for the extra demand the 4680 generation will create and this $8,000 rebate. Yeah, the Model Y may end up costing $65,000. Now, $65,000 is really getting up there, and I understand where you're coming from and what you're thinking. Tesla's price is outrageous. Even the Ford Mach-E is under $50,000, with over 300 miles of range. Of course, in this scenario, the Tesla is actually only $57,000 with the rebate, but then the Ford is only $37,500 due to an even larger rebate. This is a big difference in price. Tesla is just too expensive. But my response to this is, so what? The price doesn't matter if Tesla are selling every single vehicle they make. And like I started by saying this is actually a good thing, but I hear this is pricing too many people out of the market for Teslas. Okay, sure, there are people who previously wanted a Tesla and now cannot afford one. At least not until there is perhaps a rebate. That is unfortunate for them, sure, but from an investor standpoint, that doesn't affect us. If there are still plenty more people still wanting to buy Teslas, except now, Tesla have much higher profit per sale as a result of the price rises. Now, this channel is targeted at Tesla investors, not Tesla vehicle buyers. If Tesla raise their prices due to demand, this is good as an investor and thus good for my audience. Alright, if you are an investor and also want to buy a car, then you might be a little conflicted depending on how much you have invested relative to the price of a Tesla. But for the majority of you, this is good. And it doesn't matter if other competitors are coming in at the market at lower price points. If people are still buying Teslas, and the waiting list keeps growing. But a 2017 Tesla Model 3 has a lot more going for it than it did in 2017, due to all the over-the-air updates and new features added. Okay, there have been hardware updates since too, such as the heat pump, octavalve, electric opening and closing trunk, and although there are continual updates with the Model 3, a lot of them minor, like no more lumbar support for the front passenger, Tesla still do major annual updates too. Just to name a few, in the 2022 Model 3, it will have a 12-volt battery becoming lithium-ion, new AMD chip, rear double-glazed glass, the super horn, to name some of the bigger updates. The same updates are coming for the Model Y. Of course, even ICE cars get annual updates too, as we would expect. It's just more exciting when it's Tesla, and often unique features that we wouldn't expect from most legacy autos. Now, as an investor, when it comes to prices, there actually is something related to price that is important, and that is the price of how much it costs to produce the vehicle. And that is what matters the most. Tesla are not raising prices due to their costs increasing. Okay, perhaps a little bit of that due to some inflation and supply chain issues, but these price rises are mainly to control demand somewhat to reach closer to the market clearing price, where demand meets supply. Except it would appear Tesla's demand is still inelastic even with these price increases. Or perhaps it's just that at the same time the movement of consumers to move over to EVs is that exponential, along with more people discovering Tesla cars. For example, since I bought my Tesla, my brother is now getting one later this month, and 2 of my friends are getting one soon too. And my dad already had one through my influence. That's in just over 2 weeks of ownership. I'm sure I will convert a lot more as I go, but bear in mind, Teslas are even more expensive where I live, so there are fewer consumers that can afford them, yet they are still buying them. Again, more exponentials. Yes, Tesla is the company with so many exponentials going for it, and we've seen these exponentials in play, but I get the feeling we're about to see more kick in soon. 2 years feels like a good place to be, with the new factories and 4680 lines ramping up. Bear in mind, the standard range Model Y out of China actually only starts at around $46,000 without subsidies. Tesla simply doesn't have the capacity in Fremont to offer this car, and there's plenty of demand for the longer range model anyway, so it's not necessary to offer. I've speculated in the past that possibly Tesla will offer the standard range model from their new factories, as there may be enough LFP batteries available from CATL instead of Tesla's 4680 batteries, but I'm not sure Tesla would want to cannibalize demand for the long range by offering a standard range. On the other hand, I doubt they can make enough long range versions to come close to demand, so I haven't entirely ruled out the possibility we are being majorly sandbagged on these factories, and that Tesla will actually add the standard range from them. A very similar scenario we saw in Shanghai. CATL are ramping up their battery production and will likely have a lot more available next year. That will possibly coincide quite well with Tesla's production ramping. Anyway, all this extra margin that Tesla receive by raising the prices simply means they have more money to reinvest into the company, adding to more economies of scale, vertical integration, R&D, etc. Meaning they'll be able to offer more of a better product. That will cost less to build. The better a product is, the more demand it has, which means the higher it can be priced. And with all the vertical integration and economies of scale, Tesla can make the product at a lower cost, simply meaning more margin again. With the extra margin they obtain from their products from these advances, they can reinvest into the company with more vertical integration, economies of scale, etc., etc., and so on. It is one big virtuous circle of profit and demand. No other company has this, as all their BEVs lose money, well, except for perhaps the Wuling, but they're very small profits that likely aren't going anyplace that good. Anyway, let's just say, for example, that Tesla get their cost of manufacturing a Model 3 to $25,000 cost of goods sold, and also say that we're at a stage where Tesla have the ability to ramp up as many as they need to meet demand. Perhaps Tesla can sell 1 million standard Model 3s a year at $40,000. That would be a gross profit of $15,000 per vehicle. But then if Tesla dropped the cost down to $35,000 per vehicle and say demand increases to 1.5 million vehicles a year, they have cut the cost $5,000 or 12.5%, yet demand has increased 50%. However, the gross margin has dropped 33%, as now they only profit $10,000 per vehicle instead of $15,000. Gross profit at $40,000 would equate to $1.5 billion, 1 million times 15,000. Gross profit at $35,000 would equate to $1.5 billion as well, 1.5 million times 10,000. If Tesla have abundant capacity, then they could offer their cars at $35,000 and it would not affect the gross profit, assuming it is not in some way cannibalizing a higher priced vehicle. However, it may actually mean more people buy a Model 3 instead of a compact instead, so it might even out. And remember, by this stage, a Model 3 has become a lot more of a vehicle than we know it today, likely with front and rear die-cast molds and structural battery packs, along with a plethora of other additions and in-car applications. But it also means that it will expand Tesla's market share if they sell 50% more vehicles. There are possibly more economies of scale available at higher production rates too, although making more vehicles will mean they're competing for the same scarce resources too. On the other hand, if these customers didn't buy a Tesla, they would have possibly bought from a competitor anyway, which likely uses said resources less efficiently. Yes, Teslas more efficiently use the world's resources to achieve the same result. They also cost less per kilometer due to more efficient charging. Okay, so selling 50% more standard range vehicles doesn't improve Tesla's gross profit, but it means there are more customers. More customers is great too, more customers using FSD, paying $200 a month, along with all the other subscription features that will eventually be available. And that is serious value. 500,000 more customers a year paying $2,400 a year on FSD if we had 100% adoption. An extra $1.2 billion a year every year in profit. And that profit goes straight to EBIT, as there is no marginal cost of an FSD user. And if it's only 50% adoption, assuming Tesla reach full autonomy, then it's still an increase of over $500 million a year every year. But remember, we are only talking about the Model 3 standard range. The same will apply across the board for all Tesla models. Eventually, these cars will be more valuable with the software subscriptions, that the prices will come down and there'll be lower cost variants offered, like a standard range Model Y. But of course, there will eventually be a compact version too. In the meantime, whilst Tesla supply is scarce and the entire EV and Tesla movement are exponentially growing, then the price of Teslas will remain relatively high relative to what they were previously, but still better value than the equivalent competitor, whether it be ICE or EV. So please, just relax about the prices. It will all work out eventually. Elon is an incredibly smart person who knows and understands this industry better than just about anyone. I think we should just trust he knows what he's doing. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.